Mormonism is a big part of me as a human being. My first tattoo I got on my 18th birthday.
Tell me about the tattoo on your shoulder.
Okay.
How old were you at that time?
And I didn't want to tell you that until now.
now.
The tattoo, you can look at it and you can say, I want to remember this pain, and I'm going to actively turn towards the pain.
Shame, guilt, fear, and loneliness. Hi, everyone. We are starting a new podcast that is about tattooing and the craziest experiences in tattooing that I've had in the last 24 years of professional tattooing. I've noticed one thing that's happening to us as a tattoo artist and is really prevalent, and I just wanted to put a highlight on it and just wanted to give everyone a taste of my days in my tattoo shop. And the one concept that I was thinking a lot about was that I can't help but to notice that a lot of the people that come in my life have incredible and amazing stories. And predominantly, the one thing that I'm highlighting is the healing journeys and the experiences that they have that leads them to be on my chair. We call it the chair, or the under the needle stories on the tattoo chair. Welcome. Today I have Ellie. Ellie is one of the most phenomenal people I've met recently. She is very young, and she already has come to some incredible moments and experiences that are very interesting to hear. So I am here with her, and I want to dive into the story of who she is because I think she needs to be highlighted. So Ellie, tell me just generally who you are.
Thank you. I am 24 years old. I live in San Francisco. I'm a property manager, and I am at this new stage of life where I'm just saying yes to every opportunity, and I love tattooing, and it's something that has really shaped my healing journey. It's something that has put physical milestones in different places in my life that maybe wouldn't otherwise have them. And so I'm excited to be here and excited to talk to you.
So on the first look, everything seems like is just a regular tattoo story, right? It seems like it's just the ink on your body and I am the tattoo artist who's there to apply it. But I have developed this weird thing where I flip the interview process when they try to interview me. And I just find out that this is the best way to get deeper into the experience. And I'm trying technically to change the industry by highlighting the fact that Ellie walking to a tattoo shop, she's not just a regular person walking into a tattoo shop. She has incredible stories. And I dived in like on the surface at the beginning and then just dived deep. One of the most phenomenal things about her story is that like she started her life in Utah and she started life as a Mormon. And me growing up in Europe, it's absolutely insane to even understand what that is. So she was technically the first person who kind of like put what Mormonism is in my head. So would you like to tell me a little bit about that specific little part of your life?
Yeah, Mormonism is a big part of me as a human being and a big part of my childhood. Being born in Utah, it's like a different world. My mom converted to the church when I was 4. And before that, she grew up Catholic, went to like an all-girls Catholic school, and she actually was a pagan Wicca before she converted to Mormonism.
Is that normal for people in Utah?
I think she was the exception, actually. Mormonism is the most prevalent religion in Utah. There's a lot of Mormon history in the state. And so she actually, growing up, she was kind of the outsider because she wasn't Mormon. And when she met my stepdad, he had grown up in the church his whole life. And so when they met, when I was 3 or 4 when they met, my mom then converted to the church. So the majority of my childhood was spent in the church.
So imagine this, like we can break it down even further because it's very fascinating. Imagine Europeans. So you have to explain it to me like you're talking to a European person, right? In Europe, we are predominantly disbelievers in most of the religions, even though Catholicism is pretty big. We have the most amount of atheists in the world. And I'm coming from two countries. I'm coming from Bulgaria, where we're communists, we're Orthodox communists. And then we're coming from Sweden, where like the godless country, they're the most amount of atheists in the world. And to me, the whole concept when you said that thing is so fascinating because like I have dived into your brain, and I think you're one of the most intelligent people I've met recently. And at like age 24, that's why you're here on the podcast. At age 24, growing up in a religion that is, I have no idea, like Mormon and homeschooled, have built you to be like formidable humans somehow. Like, how is that even possible? Like, can you tell me like what is like the early stages of you and the education that you got, and like what happened and how you got out and how you become Ellie, right? It's really crazy.
I think homeschooling and Mormonism go hand in hand for me growing up because I was homeschooled. My education was very heavily influenced by Mormonism. I didn't learn to read until I was 8 years old, and I learned to read by reading the Book of Mormon, which is, the scripture that Mormons follow. And so I grew up learning about history through the Bible,
It's just
through the Book of Mormon.
fascinating.
Never learned really about evolution. Recently, I started taking college classes and have learned so much history that was never taught to me growing up and has been really eye-opening for me now at like 24 years old. But growing up, it was very isolated in the sense that I wasn't around a lot of kids that were my own age that, typically kids are in a public school system and you're surrounded by kids that are your same age. And for me, it was just my home. And I had 4 siblings. So it was very condensed to that was my whole world. My whole perception of reality was based on my family unit.
Were you ever out to meet other people outside the church?
Yeah, so we had a homeschool co-op that we met with like once a week, and it was kind of just a community of other homeschoolers.
But that's still people in the religion, right?
A lot of them were in the religion. It wasn't until I moved to California that I really surrounded myself with more non-Mormons than being in Utah, being in Idaho, and, most everybody was Mormon, or at least was familiar with the church. And then I moved to California, and some people had never heard of Mormonism before and had no idea what it was. So that was a big eye opener for me moving to California. It was like culture shock because I was learning for the first time everything I was taught growing up that the church is the one right way to do life, to get to heaven, to have exaltation. And there's this idea that maybe isn't straight out said in the church, but if you are not part of the church, you will never be happy, like true happiness, because you don't have the church in your life. And moving to California, meeting people that didn't have the church seemed happier outside of the church than the people that I had known inside of the church. And it was such a weird concept to me that you could not be Mormon and you could be happy and you could also be a good person. Like you could still have morals and you could still have belief systems outside of Mormonism.
I've noticed this thing. Thinking my girlfriend highlighted it first. She says such an amazing thing. She says, what happens to me in my industry is very interesting. I've developed my skill set to a level that is probably the last stage of what tattooing and tattoo artists can achieve. And I just sit in my chair and just attract people from around the world from different walks of life to come and get a tattoo by me. And the one thing I've noticed is like that people that they usually choose me and pick me to get their tattoo artist, they have developed higher level of consciousness or they are in a search for it. There's a common denominator in order to see my artwork, to the skill set and the quality of work that I have. You have to achieve certain kind of level of intelligence. Now, when you say that, to me seems like a person would be limited based on the religion, right? And I cannot stress enough, I think you're one of the most interesting people I've met on my chair in my shop, right? So that's why I'm just thinking your case and the reason why you're on my podcast is so important to put out there, that you can start your life in a religion and homeschooled in a very tight environment and I have no idea what that education looked like, history through Mormonism or geography or even like general science. I don't even know what science looked like. And I, person who grew up in Europe, would think that you're one of the most fascinating people. Like I think your outreach, intellectual outreach, is phenomenal. And that's like one of the main reasons of my podcast is to highlight people like you. So the next question I'm having is, um, what is happening to you when you're moving to California? How did you enter reality? You said something to me that's very fascinating. It's like 17. Me and you, we have absolutely matching on that thing, because I had to deal with life or become very serious human at the age of 17. And I know exactly how this thing feels like. You said about like you feel like very young and credibility wasn't a thing, and you dived into an industry and a business that's pretty serious right away. You did not like went like small. Tell me about this part.
Well, when I moved to California, I had just turned 13, and so I spent a lot of those really transformative teenage years in this completely new environment where I was so malleable and I was just absorbing all of the information that was like before my eyes. And it was the first time that I had real friends growing up, and the first time that I had friends that weren't either homeschooled or in the church. It was always either or. And that was very transformative for me because I had felt that true friendship connection for the first time that wasn't based on a prerequisite, right? It wasn't, okay, you're homeschooled, so we have that in common, so we'll be friends. Or you're part of the church, so I know that you're a good person, so I can hang out with you. It was the first time that I had met people that I had a true connection with outside of anything else. And that, I think, is what initially drew me away from the church initially, because it was the first time that the question was raised in my head of, this isn't matching what I grew up learning.
Yeah.
I have these amazing people that don't even go to church, have never read the Bible before in their life, and they're more amazing than half the Mormons that I've met, you know? So that was the first kind of indicator to me that maybe there is something more.
Can
Maybe
I
there
can
can
I
be
name
that
it?
growth.
Can I name it? I call this thing curiosity.
Yeah.
And I think that curiosity is the number one sign for intelligence. Like it's just the idea of like what if, and like what else is interesting. And I think this is probably the main factor of you achieving that level of consciousness at that age.
Yeah. Yeah. So I met friends for the first time, and I started martial arts and had this different sense of the word community outside of religion and outside of homeschooling. And the thing that I loved about martial arts is it was so black and white and simple for me. There's a ranking system. You know, you start at a white belt and the end goal is to get a black belt, right? And the progress in that system I loved because it was so simple.
I have
And
another word for
progress.
you,
Okay.
growth.
Yes.
So you're
Yes.
like
It's one of my tattoos. It
curiosity.
says grow.
Yes.
Yes.
You see, I did not know
Yeah.
that.
But martial arts is very transformative for me in a lot of ways. And I broke away from the church when I was when I was 17, and fully broke away from the church when I was about 18. Um, And martial arts had a big part of that, of just opening my eyes to new people and a different sense of the word community. The th the idea that you could have all the great parts of religion, of human connection, of growth, of morals, right? Of trying to be the best version of yourself and not have, um, God tied into it at all was really profound to me as somebody who was like 14, 15, 16 doing martial arts because it was all the things that I had personally loved about Mormonism, and it had none of the guilt and shame and religion actually tied to it. You know, there was no exaltation at the end.
You know what I think about a lot at this moment is like growing up in Europe, all our friends are like just like kind of focused on autopilot behavior because we have very similar education across the board from east to west Europe, and we have what do you call it, conformity that like people live into, and nobody truly strives for achieving their maximum success or achieving true potential, what you said, what the religion apparently is teaching you. And I was just thinking about this as like if it was embedded a little bit culturally, it would be wonderful. But I think it's more to the individual and the family that they're growing up with. But predominantly, I always think about it really relates to the moment when you levitate towards somebody who you think can be a peer. So in my life, I grew up alone without parents. I always would find somebody that I admire, and I would look first curiosity, then growth, and then I would try to understand and try to connect to their level of thinking. Do you think that's what happened to you too at that age, at that time?
100%.
You were
Yeah.
only trying to like get to the higher level and the higher level and the higher level.
Yeah, I think that that's Mormonism is exaltation. At the end goal, Mormons believe that they will become gods. You know, that is the eternal progression.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So they believe that they'll become gods and that they can rule over their own universes and planets, right?
I would like that for myself.
Well, we can
Can I
talk.
have 40 virgins too in the process?
Well, that's the other part of it, right? Is the more wives and the more children you have on Earth,
My God.
the more planets you'll be able to populate
So
in the
apparently I'm
next
a Mormon
life.
and I didn't know I was.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me the first tattoo you've ever got. How old were you? And just tell me that experience and what the tattoo was and what was the meaning behind it.
Yeah, so I moved out of my mom's house when I was 17, and I had met this older woman on Facebook who had offered to rent a fully furnished studio apartment to me
In San Diego.
in San Diego. Yeah. And, you know, my relationship with my parents had kind of disintegrated at that point. And so I had moved out of their house and was working like odd jobs. Like I was nannying, I worked at a dental office one day a week as an assistant receptionist. And one of the kids that I did martial arts with, I started working for his mom at her property management company at 17, right? So I was doing all of these adult things in life without actually being a legal adult. And
Wonderful.
yeah, like even down to my lease agreement with the lady who ended up renting out the apartment to me. We just had an understanding that as soon as I turned 18, we were going to sign a lease agreement, but I couldn't sign anything because I wasn't an adult. I wasn't emancipated, you know, like I just was living on my own, kind of in this gray area of life where I was conforming to
Sounds
all
like
of these adult
amazing
things,
adventure.
but I had none of the authority, right? Because I wasn't an adult yet.
Yeah.
So my first tattoo I got on my 18th birthday, and
On the day of it.
on my 18th birthday, yeah, and it just says 18, and it was my golden birthday, so I turned 18 on the 18th, but that was so profound to me because it was like, finally, like, I had been waiting and waiting and waiting, and then it was my birthday, and it was just any other day, and it was so anticlimactic because it's like, "Okay, now it's the rest of your life still doing everything you were doing before, it's just now I can sign a contract," you know? So that was the first document that I signed as the liability waiver at the tattoo shop,
No
you know,
way.
on my 18th birthday. So that was my first tattoo, and I think that it itself was like an act of rebellion for me because I was still going to church, and you can't get a tattoo when you're a Mormon, right? Because you're taught your whole life, your body is a temple, keep it clean, like, no tattoos.
So the first taste of freedom and the first taste of adulthood, you know how funny it is? Like I have to tell you, like I know that you're like a never ending, like you have gems in your life, like these amazing stories. That is actually literally what tattooing is about. Because like I can flip it from the tattoo artist point of view, right? Imagine like the tattoo artist is like, oh, this is like a dumb 18 years old girl. She has so like no idea why are you gonna get an 18 on the 18th, right? So what I'm preaching here against all tattoo artists, guys, is that like you don't truly really know what the person's going through at that very moment. You have no idea the weight of the meaning behind the one thing you're going to put on them for the rest of their lives. And you can be just like a loser scratcher and just throw this thing on somebody, or you can sit there and talk to an 18 years old girl that has tremendous amount of experience. Like at 18, she probably has more experience than most of the people I know at 30 in this country. That's why I think Ellie is so fascinating. It's like you're looking at somebody, it's like she built up her whole entire life in an environment when you're not a human until 21, and she managed to get that thing done by the age of 17. So uh, I would sit there if I was me tattooing when she was 18, and I would absolutely like gasp at that moment, and I'll be really proud to be part of her journey, her experience, because I personally had amazing, tremendous experience at my 18th birthday. We matching on that one too. So I started professional tattooing when I was 17. I had to quit high school in Soviet Union in order to take care of my brother and my sister. It was phenomenal, tremendous amount of weight. If I didn't do that, they would die. So I had to do that. And 18 was the first moment of freedom I felt for myself. I managed to amount to so much money by the age that I was 18 that I hired this insane speakeasy with 40 of my friends, and I bought the whole entire bar, everything. We bought out the whole entire thing, and I could do it just with like less than half of a month of my salary at the age of 18. So I know exactly how it feels. 18 was really big birthday for me, and just again, like it's really hard. Me and Ellie mentioned this thing earlier, right before we started the podcast. It's really hard to explain this thing to people who never lived it. And me and her, we have this thing. It's just like a half a word of understanding to like, oh my god, that's exactly it. It's the experience of it. So yeah, fascinating. 18,
Yeah, and the tattoo artist was totally like,
whatever.
whatever. He's like, "Oh, yeah, it's been a while since I did a
18-year old.
eighteen-year-old, yeah, on the birthday," and he gave me shit about it too, because I got it facing myself. He's like, "Oh, it's upside down," and I'm like, "I don't care."
Yeah.
And then everybody else made fun of me too, because 'cause they're like, "That's the tattoo that you got? What happens when you turn 19?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna
Oh.
cross it out, and I'm gonna do a 19, and then when I turn 100, I'm gonna use my belly button as one of the zeros." Like, I just was like, "Yeah, like, you don't get it, you know? You don't know why it's important to me, and that's okay." And, my tattoos are for myself, they're not for other people, but, I love it. I love that that's my first tattoo because that day is, like, with me forever, even though I got in trouble for it, like, I had to go see my bishop at church because somebody told him that I got a tattoo, and he said, "Let me see your wrists." And,
That on its own is an amazing story. So let's talk about theoretical physics right now. I'm gonna kill you with that one. So imagine like when you sit in on the chair and you tattoo people, we do this thing. It's called a time warp. Me and you, we're gonna warp time together. We're warping time right now. But the theoretical physics talks about there's this guy, I love him so much. His name is Carlo Rovelli. It's an Italian theoretical physicist who talks about what is the meaning of time, what is the definition of time, and how you can travel to time in your own mind. So time's passing differently based on the environment when you're in, including the height or if you're closer down to the ocean level. But I call these moments what Ellie experienced slice of time. For the people that they will joke with her that she got her tattoo 18 and 18, I'm gonna clear out this thing, right? Imagine this thing. Every time she looks at that tattoo, she can teleport herself physically at the moment that she was 18. And that was very important moment of her growth. And it's a milestone of who she is, who she become, and the freedom that she managed to feel, including the freaking bishop. I wish I was there for you at that moment to go joke with the bishop or confront your parents. In this country, 18 is such a weird age. You are allowed to shoot porn, which is mind bending to me, but you're not allowed to drink alcohol. In Europe, 18, you're fully adult. And we usually, by that time, we've been drunk 100 times. So we drink underage easily. And 18 is just probably the biggest thing from you transitioning from a child to adult in Europe. Like your signature, what you said in Europe is the weight of the world. You sign a document, you can go in prison for it. And yeah, this is an amazing, beautiful story. And I support the fact that you didn't cover it up, never covered it up. Remember it there, and like the fact that like the meaning behind the tattoo is so deep. It technically holds the first 18 years of your life. Uh, it's amazing. Tell me more about what else. What is the next tattoo that you got on your body? What is the next piece? How old were you, and what exactly happened?
So my next tattoo I got during COVID. I got my 18, and then when I was 19, I got it's on my forearm, and it's this feminine figure that's holding herself, and it's her torso. And instead of a head, there are flowers blooming, and underneath it says grow. And I got this tattoo on the 2-year anniversary of moving out of my mom's house. And there was so much going on, like, in the world at the time because of COVID, but I was also going through so much with my family and losing my whole family and losing those relationships with my whole family.
Is it because you like left the church?
It was because I had left the church, and it was, because there was so much going on with my mom and with my siblings, and I have younger siblings and I have older siblings, and there is a lot of there was just a lot going on in my family at the time where the only way that I can describe it is like being shunned. Like there was one day where it was like clockwork where I had gotten a voicemail from my brother, and I didn't pick up the phone because I didn't have his number saved. I didn't recognize the number. I didn't have a relationship with them. Basically, from the time that I moved out, it was very distant.
Seems so heavy. I'm so sorry.
Thank you. So I needed something to represent that, and it was like clockwork where I got this voicemail and just saying awful, awful things. And then 5 minutes later, I got an email from my other brother saying equally awful things. And then 5 minutes later, it was another email from so you have to look at that and you have to go, okay, so multiple people, multiple adults got together and said, you know what, we are going to send our sister or, our daughter um, these words. And I was just sitting in my apartment getting all of this information, all of these things that they had thought about me, and internalizing all of it, going like, "I don't know what to do with
Did you have a
this."
boyfriend at that time with you?
I did.
Did you share that team with your boyfriend?
I did.
Regular guy. What was he doing for a living? Just 10 seconds about him. What was he about?
He was actually my martial arts instructor
Okay.
from when I was a teenager, and, that is a whole other story in itself, that relationship with him, but I had lived with him at this time that I had gotten I got the voicemails,
Was he
got the emails.
supportive?
He was supportive at that time. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was very, like, one of those mental breakdown moments in life where I just instantly you're so aware that something is traumatic for you in that moment, and I was so conscious that I am experiencing trauma right now. Like, to have your family, like clockwork, kind of basically essentially say you're dead to us and to leave you kind of like essentially the words were, if I saw you dead in the street, I would keep walking. At 19 years old, to hear that from the people that, and I think because I grew up in the church and because I was homeschooled, my family was my whole childhood and my whole community. So to have these people that 18 years of my life was shaped around them, and then to have them to lose that, right? And have it be so distinct and black and white, I didn't know how to process it.
Can I focus on that moment? I'm gonna focus on three things. I'm gonna focus on words. Okay, words that they generate feelings. Okay, so one thing I'm gonna focus on is shame, guilt, fear and loneliness and abandonment, right? So at that very volatile age, like 19, and imagine like your family and your parents are like excluding you, must be really tremendously scary. And um and I think like this is why religion is so tricky, right? Like because like it's so abnormal behavior for a species like humans, Homo sapiens, monkeys. We're like technically walking monkeys, and we're inherently designed to have environment that is surrounded by other monkeys. We're social creatures. There's studies that they prefer um, blanket than food. If you leave ape with a blanket versus food, they prefer. So the bravery that you have to have at that age to contradict your whole entire support social circle and your own family is amazing. And like by you sharing that story, it makes me even feel like I like you more, because like like there is never growth without sacrifice and pain. If you sit in the comfort of your everyday reality of it, and you just soak into the fact that you have to make happier peers, you never change, right? So literally that's what San Francisco and my tattoo shop is. I just like attract people like you, that they're like brave beyond brave. I have no idea what is the feeling to be 19, to be a little girl, to live with your martial art instructor. God knows what he was doing at that time. I just hope he was a regular human and he had the words to be able to support you at that moment. And I imagine like he was the only one thing you had, right?
Well, it's interesting, and I think what that moment was for me, you have family and you have names, like you know the people, and then there's the roles that those people play in your life. And the role that the person plays is different than the actual human being that they are, right? Like I'm a daughter, you can be a girlfriend, you can be a wife, you can be a daughter, you can be a mother. And that moment was the first time that I felt like I had separated the person from the role, because it felt like these people were hurting me. And then there was so much grief because it was loss of the roles that those people had played in my life. Like the loss of, my mother is still alive. I don't talk to my mother. So I have the person, right? And I also have the role of my mother. And to have that separation, that was what that moment was for me, is realizing that the person is different from the role that they play in my life, and grieving both at the same time. It was that separation from family, and also the separation from the people in my life, from the roles that they play.
So this is amazing, tremendous observation. Again, impeccable, brilliant. The crazy part is like all that leads to you to go in a tattoo shop and get a tattoo, right? About that specific thing. Did you share any of that story to your tattoo artist there? Did he ever ask any questions about your tattoo?
So it was a different artist, and I don't even remember how I met her. It was like a friend of a friend was like, "Go to this person." And it was towards the end of COVID. So not a lot of places were open, and she just was in my neighborhood. And so I connected with her like over email. And I shared with her kind of the idea that I wanted and what it meant to me. But it was a very awkward in-person experience. We didn't really talk, it was kind of just silence. But then halfway through, she goes, "Oh, it's so nice to be tattooing again." I said, "Oh, what do you mean?" And she said, "Oh, you're my first tattoo since COVID."
No.
And I was like, "Do you want to practice maybe
So
a little bit more?"
she
Like,
was
are
going through her own experiences,
yeah, we were having a
and
very different experience at the same
she
time.
didn't even care about you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is what I'm literally trying to outline all the time here, guys, is this is the focus of my work. I've been doing this thing for a decade plus. So 24 years of tattooing. There is stages in tattooing that a lot of people haven't gotten to or will never get to because they're not introspective. So the first 0 to 5 years, you are supposed to become 10,000 hours and become professional tattoo artist. And at 5 years, you're supposed to be good enough to be able to do anything. Now, that's not the case for everyone because they limit themselves into the ridiculous styles and belief systems that they think they have. And then if they manage to create a career for themselves, enough income, they might hit 10 years of tattooing. In 10 years of tattooing, this is considered master level. At master level, you're supposed to be looking at your life like is either like 9 to 5 career calling. And at 10 years, it hit me. That actually was so funny because my ex-wife was the first person that actually inspired that moment of thinking, was that like the client sitting on the chair, it's not just a canvas. Nothing about this experience is about me at all. I don't even really care what I'm going to tattoo because at 10,000 hours plus, 20,000 hours plus at that point, is just assembling thing on a factory line. I can just do anything, anytime, anywhere, upside down, eyes closed, hypothetically speaking. And then I start thinking about like, who is Ellie? Like, what is Ellie about, right? And the moment that I start connecting to the story behind the tattoo, I realize there's only one thing and one thing only. It's like death before dishonor. I have to make the tattoo so precisely perfect, connected to her thinking and feeling. And I also want to provide advice to her, like what was going on in her life. Like we sit on the chair, guys, and we talk to a lot of people. I have so many PhDs. I have politicians. I have criminals of all sorts. I have doctors. I have business owners, CEOs of every side of company in Bay Area, guys, the last 15 years. And I still find that the moment that somebody comes in with such a vulnerable state, imagine what Ellie is going through at that moment, you have to be able to pay attention to her and not just like spill ink on her arm. You have to be able to understand what she was going through and maybe even offer some kind of friendship. That's why me and Ellie are here right now.
But it was also very symbolic, the experience in itself of the tattoo that I got, because it was COVID, right? So I was wearing a mask, she was wearing a mask, and your face has you form connections with people through facial expressions, right? And so I
100%.
didn't there was that barrier there that was so present physically because I couldn't actually see all of her face and she couldn't see all of mine. But the meaning behind the tattoo, yes, I had a boyfriend at the time, but I was alone in that experience, right? Because it was tied to everything that had happened in my life, an accumulation of my experiences with my family up until that point. That's an experience that somebody can't really hold your hand through, even if they're trying to be as supportive as possible. At the end of the day, you're alone in that experience.
I
And
would
that's
say,
why,
I would
yeah,
say no.
okay.
I would say no, specifically because if you have someone like me, I've experienced the same experience. I'll be like this, like, I know exactly what you're going through. So you remember how we talked about frequencies and how we connect? It's always because of the weight of the experiences we're having. So capacity to understand someone's pain and problem is you experiencing that pain and problem. So you probably your partner was not capable at all to understand what you're going through. The moment I met you, I was like, what is going on? Like, how is that even possible? Like I have analyzed the craziest people in my life, and it's an enigma. Questions like I'm getting answered right now from you. And like that piece, we're on tattoo too. And that second story of your experience is already like opening the portal to like what actually happened to for you to become the craziest introspective person you are.
Well, and I think it was the tattoo itself of holding yourself, that was that stage of my life where I had never felt held truly by my family, and it felt like I was going through life asking people to hold pieces of myself that only I could hold for myself. And so getting the tattoo of holding yourself,
Wow.
and I was a stage of growth in my life, and that's why I got the flowers as well, is there was so much going on in my brain and so many thoughts coming at me that felt hectic and chaotic. And even through that awful, painful experience, there was still growth. And so for me to get the flowers coming out of it, to me, that was just symbolic of I at the end of the day, like, I'm holding myself, and as painful as it is, there's growth in every aspect of it.
You see, um, some people go into massive amount of addictions and all kind of issues to deal with the problems you have, and instead of it, you're like, no, it's growth, and I'm just gonna grow out of it. Your true inspiration, and that's actually very phenomenal, specifically at the age that you're in, because like, how do you do that thing at 19, right? Like like I have sat with people on my chair that they're a 6 years old person that's like a PhD, PsyD level of trauma, and we're talking about the coping mechanisms of what might that look like. And they usually go through alcohol, they go through food is the first thing that they do. They gain weight. The second thing that happens is drugs, sex, and my favorite one is extreme behavior. I am a fan or a victim of the extreme behavior. So you decide to focus that thing down into putting something permanently against slice of time, based on Carlo Roveri's theory of like you can pinpoint exactly the moment, and every time you look down on your arm, you can think about that growth and that crazy place of pain that actually forged you. You know how diamonds are forged?
Tell me.
Pressure and heat. There
Mm.
is no diamonds without that specific type of experience. So it's like every moment that you go through that pain and hurt makes you more interesting, more better, more amazing, more unique human. And as I've been thinking a lot about, we have this high consciousness community in San Francisco. We are all into personal growth. We have a theory that each one of us has a soul that can be awakened or not awakened. And the main reason that some people are higher or upper level on their journey and their souls are awakened is tremendous amount of pain. And some people don't experience that much turmoil and changes in their life until they hit 30. You were what, 13? You know, even like being 4 and being converted into Mormonism. I can imagine what your mom was doing. I was about to joke earlier that Mormonism is contagious because you just got me a little bit into Mormonism earlier.
Well, I love Mormonism. Like, don't get me wrong, Mormonism is my special interest. I think it is the most fascinating thing culturally because it didn't happen that long ago. You know, it was founded in the early 1800s. So we have a lot of documentation to be able to easily prove that it's wrong. But
Yeah.
there's this cultural following. It's a very successful, you know, multi-billion dollar church. And that is the part that I find so fascinating is how people can be presented with information. And I've met so many Mormons that know the true history of the church and that are been confronted with the reality that what they are taught is not true, and they still attend the church and they're still Mormons.
Yeah. So my question for you at that moment is though, is isn't it feeling really painful when your whole entire family is betraying you because of the church? And how can you like something after that, after this moment? And like I want to hear what you feeling and thinking about this. Because like as a regular person, I don't can't even comprehend.
Yeah. It's interesting, and I think I like it still because I can look at it as a system. And when you have people that are part of a system, the reasons why they're part of the church are based on their own pain and their own suffering. Like, I can look at my mom, who converted to the church when I was 4, and she was newly single. My parents had divorced the year before when I was 3, and so the church gave my mom community as a single mom of 3 kids.
Coping after
Yes.
the trauma of divorce.
Yeah, and I think that once you understand that, the religion for a lot of people provides them with meaning and provides them with coping. I As much as it is still a system that hurts people, I think you understand people a little bit at a greater level because you understand why they're there. And even though there's still that pain, you still have to, at the end of the day, kinda have compassion for people because you understand where the pain is coming from. It doesn't excuse it, but I think it provides
But
context.
how you personally feel about this thing, like right now?
About the church?
about like the whole entire, like how you said you like Mormonism, but like Mormonism hurt you.
Yeah.
So what do you feel right now?
Well, I feel that I like it because it feels familiar to me. It's it was a big part of my life, and I've even toyed with the idea of, walking into a Mormon church on a Sunday just so I can sing the songs that I
Can I
grew up
come?
singing. Yeah, should we go tomorrow?
I'm in 100%, but I'm going there as a safari experience. I'm like, I wanna see.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think too, when you have people that are part of a system, there's people that hurt you, and I think you can remove the system from the people. But I think that overall, Mormonism as a system causes more hurt than it does, provide people with meaning. Like just the abuse that has gone on in the church, the people that are put in leadership positions. I think it's a very harmful organization. And it is kind of an oxymoron that I still love it. But I think the reason that I love it is because it's something that ties me to my childhood. And it's one of the only memories that I have as a kid that feel warm and cozy inside. I don't know how else to describe it. So it's both. It's caused a lot of pain and I hate it at times. And at the same time, I love it because it's part of what made me who I am.
Have you ever thought about what Princess Elsa says? Which is, she is one of my heroes. I have to tell you, I quote her every day. The true definition of letting go. I can give you one like quick story about like what I learned at age 40 to let go of things. It's actually really crazy. Um, there's this crazy concept that I just recently figured out about the fact that most of the things that hurt us, they stay in our body. There's this book, The Body Keeps the Score, and technically they become part of your being. Your nervous cells are living or reliving that nightmare that you've experienced for how many, 17 years? So um, I've learned the true definition of letting go is by truly giving them forgiveness. But I know that your family is not there yet. I just had to experience this thing with my girlfriend. We recently went back to Europe and I challenged my demons. Yeah, that was like my whole 40th midlife crisis revolution resolution. Like I guess 40 is not the midlife, but I guess it is right now. So we went back there, and my mother was my original abuser. So each one of us have abusers. Hypothetically speaking, she never abused me really, but the idea it's the type of neglects that she unleashed on me and my brother and my sister was feeling pretty horrible. And I was thinking that she's the villain in the whole entire story, until I got her to a moment where I saw her. She was old, frail, and she wasn't doing really well. And the only one thing I can truly give her at that moment was love and true level of forgiveness. So I've forgiven that woman twice already, right? So I thought that I've forgiven her fully. And the moment that I figured it out that without me, she's gonna die, I was like, that's it. And I switch every feeling I've ever had to love. And I just gave her true, unconditional, 100% love, which let me have the ability to let go of the fact that she was the villain. And without her, the neglect that she unleashed on me and my family, I wasn't going to be here talking to you today. And I have to tell you, I'm really happy with the person I am, and I really enjoy every second of being alive and being here. Amazing experience to be here with you. So um, I'm just saying, like, this is like last level stage feeling, understanding. I know for a lot of the times I say things to a lot of my friends and it's just words, but if you truly get through that experience to forgive them and forgive the Mormon Church, you unleash the true full potential that your tattoo actually have is the growth, is to be like, you guys are cute, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think forgiveness means so many different things to different people, but I think true forgiveness is the experience that you have to go to get to the point where you can say, I forgive you. It's everything that leads up to the conclusion, which is forgiveness.
Yeah. Do you think you forgive your family?
Ooh, ooh. Ooh. I think that, I was really angry at my mom for a lot of years. And there's that saying, I sat with my anger long enough that she told me her real name was grief. And I don't know if I've forgiven my mom, but I think that I've grieved her. And I think that there's freedom in that, in knowing that there's so much of my mom that I don't know because I don't have a relationship with her as an adult. I only have my memories of her as a child. And at the same time that I can look at the Mormon church and see what it offers people who are in pain, I also can look at my mom now that I'm an adult and realize that there's a lot of pain that was probably caused in her life that has made her the person that she is. And hurt people, So I think that I haven't forgiven, but I think that I understand enough to know why she hurts me and to know that I can be really sad that I don't have a mom in my life, and at the same time know that I that sadness is not enough to make me want to have her in my life again, because I know that if my mom's in my life, I'm gonna be hurt. And I choose to grieve the relationship and also keep myself safe, and keeping myself safe is not having her in my life.
You want to hear something crazy? It's like, I think a lot how the stages of brain development and the ability to comprehend things in life. And I think, I don't know how you manage to cramp all that in your head to get to that level. And I think like the next stage is forgiveness, but it's really hard to convince you. You have to experience your own thing. It sounds like really like a mambo jumbo woo woo talk. That how can you get to forgive to someone who have hurt you so much and who've neglected you? But I'm going to give you one study that might help you a little bit. So I read a lot, right? That's one of the sentences I like to say. I'm obsessive person that loves to dig deep into psychology. And technically, what me and you are doing right now is what happens on my tattoo sessions. The only one difference is I'm sitting and tattooing you. So when I apply the needle on your skin, I can bring you to the moment now. You pretty much can't experience the moment now because it's already gone, and your brain always try to predict the future, and you just constantly vary between the past and the future. But when you apply the needle and we talk about that specific moment of growth and healing and forgiveness, is is very phenomenal. So I think works better with me convincing people on the chair. I call it convincing them to switch up or change their lives. So I'm going to tell you that story, right? So they made a study with these mice. They give them cherry blossoms to smell, and they electrocute them at the same time. And it takes like little to few times for the mice to develop fear from the cherry blossoms. And that thing creates lasting effect in their DNA compound that is hereditary given to their offsprings. And it takes 6 generations for the mice to forget that thing. So 6 offsprings forward from that electrocution with the smell of the cherry blossom smell, all the mice are terrified of cherry blossoms. So they're mammals, very close to humans. That's why we experiment on them. And I figured this thing out that when you sit somewhere, even right now, you're not truly yourself. You're a compound of your father and your mother DNA information, and the collective trauma, collective knowledge, collective immune suppression or immune responses to these things, to the tip of your eyelashes and the tip of your toes, your combination of those. It turns out it's 60% to your mother and 40% to your father. Your physical attributes, pretty much like health and strength, related to the physical attributes where your dad conceived you. Very phenomenal studies there. And every time when you sit and think about study like that, you can focus on the fact that like technically you are your mom. And the moment you forgive her, there is this like crazy thing that's getting unleashed inside your body that makes you feel good. So forgiveness, it's not for your mom. It's never gonna be or will be. It's gonna be only for yourself. And you know how amazing experience is to go look at my mom and I tell her I love her. Me and my girlfriend went back in Europe right now, and I was walking her. She's fully blind right now. That person that you hate so much, the person that you're terrified of, the person that was so powerful, strong, and almighty and shunned you, or God knows what they did to you, right now it's a frail little old woman. She can't move anywhere without any kind of help. And all that she wants is just love. And I told her every day I love her.
It's so interesting that you say that because for when I was really, really angry for a few years at my mom, I would think about constantly, like, I never wanna have kids because I never want my mom to continue.
Oh,
You know,
that's
like, that was, like,
interesting. That's
how
deep.
angry that I was. I was like, "I don't want her DNA to continue in my life." And it is a path of forgiveness or of healing or, whatever your word is for it. Once you realize that that's a person that's been hurt in life, it's almost like it just diminishes that anger and it brings you back to the true emotion, which is hurt and which is sadness. And if you're able to work your way through that, because we know our body remembers and our body is keeping the score of all of that pain. And unless you work your way through it, through movement or through talking about it, whatever it is, it's always gonna be there until you're ready to face it, until you're done running away from it.
You're saying so many truths. That is like so much information compacted in that sentence you just said. That is phenomenal. Like it takes people years to get to that level of knowledge. So I recently figured out dancing. It's one of the ways to get through grief and pain like this. I never danced my whole entire life, and my girlfriend got me to dance. And I was thinking my whole entire life, 39 years, of like, what are these dumb people doing? Why, like, you can be so happy and excited about life, and like, what's going on with that thing, you know? So then I started dancing. I was like, realized like, oh, you have to be happy to dance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So like when you're feeling happy and like if you focus on something from the past, like I would say Princess Elsa let it go, you can let go quicker through
Mm.
movement and dancing.
Yes. Yes.
100%.
Yep.
So my theory is that also happens through tattooing. Imagine this thing right now. You're sitting in with your tattoo artist who is wearing a mask and doesn't care, and it's her first tattoo in 2 years and God knows what, you know. And it's like what kind of healing is there? Luckily, it's so funny. Luckily that your brain is so phenomenal that can reframe anything on an instance. You're like experiencing reality, and that specific experience contributes even further to your experience.
Right. Right.
I have my friend Nick. He's like the last stage level guru. Me and him were thinking about like nothing in reality is happening outside of you. So if you manage to notice these little connotations and signs and feelings into like, oh, like this is what this thing's causing me to feel while I'm experiencing a tattoo, it actually amplifies the feeling. Now imagine this thing. Imagine I'm your tattoo artist and I got all that information from you, right? I would get that information from you at 18 and at 19 and at 24, regardless of anything, because otherwise I don't feel like I want to tattoo you. I feel like this is like the reason why I am here. The reason why I'm here is to get through that specific moment and help you out. Like I'll give you like another story, right? We've talked about it, but I'm gonna reiterate. So the original moment of tattooing, it's a guy who is a shaman. Could be a woman too. I don't know. At that time, that was 50,000 years ago. We don't have historic
Is it they, them?
evidence. Yeah, historic
Gender
evidence.
neutral?
Yeah, gender neutral. We were San Francisco here. They, them was the person who was in the tent, and he was probably taught by another shaman in the village how to heal. So the experience, the original tattoo experience, is we were sitting in a hut, and I would make you start, feel, and believe that this experience would get you through your journey. So I would put a protection rune on you. I'm going to put it on your chest so no one can ever defeat you in battle. Or I'm going to put a healing flower tattoo on you that would be healing you from broken heart or trauma that you experience. Or I can put something that's going to empower you, like I'm going to put the family crests that you become part of the crew that you belong. Or it could be moment of maturity. At 13 you're a man or you're a woman right now,
It's medicine.
and then I'm going to blow some dust in your face and I'm going to say you're healed. And it's 33% of healing. It's placebo effect beyond placebo effect. And earlier you said something that, like, I can't even comprehend how you come up to that conclusion. You said it's not only that, but it's the physical representation of emotion or feeling. Like, imagine this thing, like you have a physical element put on you that represents that thing that you went through. And every time when you look at it, it just empowers you, heals you, or protects you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we have things that happen to us in life and they hurt us and they traumatize us and causes us so much pain, but there's no physical representation of that experience. And a tattoo is that, and in that experience, you also release it from your body internally, and then you put
Mic
it
drop.
external. Yeah. But
As I
it's
said, guys,
closure.
Ellie is
It's closure.
kosher.
It's closure for a
Oh,
lot of
closure.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. It's closure or a new beginning.
Yes, at the same time.
Like, as I said, guys, Ellie, it's absolutely formidable.
It's also, I think there's a lot of really, really painful experiences that we internalize. And in the process of getting a tattoo, you are experiencing that same pain in a safe way.
Yeah.
Maybe the pain that you experienced before the experience that led you to get the tattoo maybe came out of the blue and that pain shocked you and you didn't get to choose it.
You had a fight, flight, or freeze.
Right. But the tattoo, you can look at it and you can say, I want to remember this pain and I'm going to actively turn towards the pain. And the pain is tattoos hurt, so it's the pain of the needle.
Is also super meditative. Nothing brings you to the moment now than tattooing. Pain or pleasure. It's the two things that will bring you to the moment now. And then imagine if your artist is actually like, hey, Ellie, tell me about you. And you like literally can let go of that thing right then and there. It can be more therapeutic than almost anything.
Yeah, it brings you into your body. It
Oh,
brings you into the present
yeah.
moment.
I want to ask you about this tattoo, and that'll probably be the last thing we talk about today, because that's like my amazing. I love this tattoo. Tell me about the tattoo on your shoulder.
Okay.
How old were you at that time?
This was like 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
So I have on my left back, I have the words, forever is the sweetest con. And Taylor Swift said that. Okay.
Okay,
And
I
I
did
didn't want
not
to
know
tell you that until now because
that.
I feel like if I said this is my Taylor Swift tattoo, you would have written it off.
She knows me so well, and we just met.
So I'm probably the biggest Taylor Swift fan you're ever going to meet in your life. I've always said Taylor Swift is my longest relationship, including like familiar, you know. She's just been a big part of my life. So I've always known I wanted to get a Taylor Swift tattoo. It was just like, what's the right moment? And this tattoo is very spontaneous. I had made an appointment to get a different tattoo. And I actually was getting married. And I had made an appointment to get lyrics to the song I was going to walk down the aisle to, which also was a Taylor Swift song. So I was going to get the lyrics on my arm.
Double Taylor Swift.
I was going to get the lyrics on my arm to her song Invisible String. And the words were going to be, hell was the journey, but it brought me heaven.
Wow.
And that was the song I was going to walk down the aisle to.
She's a writer.
Yeah. And so I made the appointment, was like, this is amazing. This tattoo for me is going to symbolize this season of engagement, of walking into marriage. Again, like that physical representation of milestones in life. And made the appointment. And then right before the appointment, I ended that relationship and I called off my wedding. And again, it was this experience where I wasn't in my body. I was going through all of these thoughts and feelings and needed something to ground me back in my body and needed something to symbolize instead of entering this new chapter of life, of partnership with somebody. I needed something to symbolize closing that chapter in my life with everything that was going on with, calling off a wedding, ending an engagement 5 weeks before you're supposed to get married.
We're gonna have a whole another podcast with her just about that
We'll talk
story.
just about that. So I had gone back and forth between deciding if I wanted to keep the tattoo appointment or not. And I decided I wanted to keep it, but I decided to get a different tattoo. So it went from having the symbolism of walking into marriage to changing it to walking away from marriage. So that's why I got it on my left side, is, your ring finger's on your left side. And I got it on my back to symbolize like walking away, like leaving it behind me.
So how was the tattoo artist on that one?
He was pretty great. He actually was a friend of mine, and she had recommended me to him. And I almost didn't go through with it because I told him it was a Taylor Swift tattoo, and he almost didn't want to do it because it was a Taylor Swift tattoo.
Also, we all of us don't like Taylor Swift.
That's okay. I like her enough for all of
I
you
do not
combined.
like her. I just not like her.
I feel like I could make anybody a Taylor Swift fan, actually. It's a
Well, you're absolutely right. Right now, I think that she's onto something because I connect to that little piece of the lyric.
Yeah, so I got that one, and then I got at the same time another Taylor Swift lyrics. So this was to
Triple the
symbolize,
Taylor
yeah,
Swift.
yeah. This was to symbolize like walking away, and then I felt like I needed something for myself to symbolize like just a mantra. So she has this song, it's called Marjorie. It's about her grandmother and advice that her grandma has given her throughout her life. And the lyrics that I got tattooed um, is never be so kind, you forget to be clever. Never be so clever, you forget to be kind.
Again, Taylor Swift, guys. She's onto something.
Which is pretty great.
So I was gonna say this. Why do I want to talk about this tattoo is because even though people believe that tattoos are permanent, they're not truly permanent, you know? And the permanent state that they live in, it's kind of very interesting concept to me because a lot of people thinking about the totality of the tattoos, like, oh my god, if I put this tattoo on me and then like that's my life after that forever and ever. But that technically is just like slice of time from the moment that you got them. And what Ellie is trying to say pretty much at every tattoo that she gets, and that is what my whole life and career is about, is they have to signify a specific time and moment in your life that creates or resonates with impermanence. So nothing's really permanent, and it really brings you to the moment now, to be present, to be here, to be experiencing truly the miracle of life and be happy about the fact that we can just experience things. And I always talk about a lot this thing in my career with a lot of my clients is like, yeah, don't take it that seriously, only going to be on you forever, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And don't worry about it, right? And then immediately I shocked them, and a lot of the questions I would ask Kelly if she tries to get that tattoo, I'd be like, what is that meaning to you? Like, what is it? And if she breaks it down to me like that, I was like, yes, we're doing it 100%. Yeah,
Right.
there's no way.
Well, I feel like all my tattoos are also a past version of myself. So, like, I look at my 18 and I think of like little 18-year-old me, and then I look at my other ones and I remember who I was. So, at the same time, it's like I'm carrying different versions of myself throughout my life and keeping them safe with me.
That's another really beautiful thing that her last tattoo means also, is the impermanence part. Is that like one day I'm sitting in with one of my clients, he's a formidable human being, his name's Gary. And I was like, Gary, people never change. And Gary has same poise as Ellie does. Looks at me and he says like, "How many Svetlios are here right now?" And I'm like,
Oh,
checkmate.
yeah.
like like that's it, yeah. So Ellie just like confirmed Gary's theory. It's like this is just past me's that I've grown into, and nothing's ever permanent. And Taylor Swift have got it right again, guys. Apparently we're all fans of Taylor Swift, either if we know it or not, you know.
Well, I think if you look at tattoos that way, you can't have any regrets. Like, I might look at a design and be like, yeah, maybe now, later on in life, I would have chosen a different design or a different style. But how can I regret the stage of life where I was at and the experiences that led me to make that decision to keep an experience on my body
This is
forever?
only valid for you because you are a thinker and you have put passion, thinking, and meaning to your tattoos. But I'm gonna end up with that story today about tattoo regret. It's actually a big part of my career. Tattoo regret is something I've spent over 15 years on and tried to understand. And one of the main reasons that I focus on is because a lot of the people that they come in my life are trying to get cover up of tattoos that they deeply regret. And the main reason that people regret tattoos is because they're not introspective or they don't thinking deep, like what Ellie does with her tattoos that you would say that are very simple, but they're very meaningful to her. So she would never regret them. She is not on the path of regret. But I'm gonna give you one story. One of my friends, Matthew, he's a dear friend of mine, is genius, brilliant, amazing human. Um, he showed up in my life one day because I was tattooing his wife, and his wife is an amazing friend of mine. And then she said, like, why don't you meet my husband, Matthew? Matthew and Gavia were married for 20, 30 years, and they had 4 kids, and they're happily married. And I'm seeing some friends of both of them. I'm swayed to do things to both of them that I would never do. That particular tattoo that he swayed me to was the giant Gavia uh, lettering on his back, because he said, I'm all about family. I'm a family man, and I want to get tattoos that they only relate to my true passion and love, and that's my family. So I was like, Matthew, look, like, it's never a good idea to put a name of a partner or a wife or a spouse or whatever, a significant other besides your kids. You can put your kids on yourself without worrying. But if the kids turn out, pretty bad, maybe you'll regret that one too. So what happened was, it was like a year later. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm drunk in a bar and I'm getting a text message. You are right. And I'm like, what I'm right about? I'm right a lot about
You're
a
like,
lot of
yes, I
things, but
am.
like what I'm right about in 1 o'clock in the morning. So it turns out that Gavia was not interested of keeping the relationship. We're gonna break down into the details of their divorce, but she wanted a divorce, and Matthew was so devastated. He's so in love, and he couldn't bear this thing. And me and Matthew, we started like me and you are starting. He's a brother from another mother. I get to put him together. I spent 1 year of holding him and going through his divorce, going through lawyers, and uh, I supported him in many other ways besides tattooing him, to get through that thing. And in the end, I ended up covering my own tattoo. I covered up Gavia with the phoenix, because I said, Matthew, now it's time for you to have tattoo about yourself. And I think you're a phoenix. You come out of the ashes and you're fully resurrected in your true power. And he is. He defeated that demon. And he is more than happy in his life right now. Has a second chance in life. He has a wonderful girlfriend and has never been happier. And that happened in a window of 3 years through tattooing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a double experience, you know? Even though there might have been regret with the original tattoo, get the journey to get him to the second one. I don't know. That's very interesting. Very fast. How was that for you to cover up your own tattoo?
See, now, great question. It's a great question. So I've experienced a lot of things in my life in tattooing. In 24 years of professional tattooing, I've done everything, but one of the weirdest one is covering up your own tattoo. You caught it, yeah. The tattoo was huge, and I worked really well on a composition his whole entire back around this tattoo. So now I had to change the whole entire composition and make it look good. And also, I'm deeply connected to Matthew, and I love him so much, and I care about him. So I did the best thing to cover up the best thing I already did, and it worked phenomenal. And it was rites of passage, and it was journey that both of us we had. And if you ask Matthew, Matthew would say such a thing as like, I came in to get a tattoo, and I found my brother, and I was like, I'm here for you every time, every day, no matter what. It's deeper than just tattooing people.
That's beautiful.
Well, guys, I'm gonna end it here. Me and Ellie will probably have another episode because I think it's endless at this point right now between me and her. And I'm gonna say this: thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of our journey. This is just one episode. I'm gonna have a lot more interesting people meeting with us, and the craziest journeys and stories of healing and adventures behind tattooing and what actually happens on a tattoo chair in San Francisco will be revealed at my podcast called Under the Needle. Thank you for listening.